Look, guys, this is something that honestly I've had to work on a lot in my life. I was always one of those people, and honestly still in today to an extent, that views emotions and showing emotion as a form of weakness. And that's not healthy for me. That's not healthy for anybody. So, really, just working on your emotional intelligence and learning how to not shy away from your emotions, but harness them and use them to make better connections with people and just not only feel better as a person, as yourself, and just be more content with yourself in the ability to control your emotions. But if you can't control your own emotions, how are you supposed to pick up on others? How are you supposed to work well with others?
I put on for my soldiers, though they had to swear me in. Young, humble motherfucker, but my hustle arrogant. Got it all off the muscle like I'm Dan Bilzerian. Make this trap great again. I'm a proud American.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Life, Liberty, and Real Talk. If you like the show, share it with a friend. I'm never going to monetize this. I just do it for fun. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Life Liberty RT. So today I want to talk about something that's pretty important that I think often gets overlooked, and that's emotional intelligence. In my opinion, when it comes to happiness and success in life, emotional intelligence, or EQ, matters honestly just as much, if not more, than your IQ. I mean, when you boost your emotional intelligence or your EQ, it leads to stronger relationships and can help you reach your goals. I mean, it'll help you in the workplace. It'll help you just in your everyday life. So let's start with this. What is emotional intelligence? So emotional intelligence, like I said, otherwise known as emotional quotient or EQ, is essentially the ability to understand, use, and manage your emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, to communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenge, diffuse conflict. Emotional intelligence helps you build stronger relationships, succeed at school, succeed at work, achieve your career, your personal goals. It can help you connect with your feelings, can help you make informed decisions about what matters to you most. And honestly, it can help you turn your intentions into actions. So I see emotional intelligence kind of commonly defined by four different really attributes. So the first one is self-management. You're able to control your impulsive feelings and behaviors, manage your emotions in healthy ways, take initiative, follow through on commitments, and adapt to changing circumstances. Number two is self-awareness. So you can recognize your own emotions and how they affect your thoughts, your behavior. You know your strengths and weaknesses, and you have a sense of self-confidence. These are all attributes in healthy emotional intelligence. Number three is social awareness, meaning you have empathy. You can understand the emotions, needs, and concerns of others. You can pick up on emotional cues, feel comfortable in a social setting, and you can recognize the power dynamics in a group or an organization. And then number four is relationship management. You know how to develop, you know how to maintain good relationships, communicate clearly, inspire and influence others. You can work well on a team, and you know how to manage conflict. So those are really the four areas that, somebody who has a high emotional intelligence excels in. So let's talk about, why is this thing called EQ, emotional intelligence? Why is it so important? I mean, look at anybody in your life that is successful. I mean, as we know, it's not always the smartest people who are the most successful or the most fulfilled in life. I mean, you probably know people who are book smart as hell, and yet they're socially inept and unsuccessful in their work and their personal relationships. I mean, to me, intellectual ability isn't enough on its own to achieve true success in life. Like, yeah, your IQ can help you get into college, but it'll be your EQ that will help you manage the stress and emotions when facing your final exam. IQ and EQ kind of exist in a tandem, and they're most effective when they build off one another. I mean, emotional intelligence affects so many aspects of your life, like your performance at school and work. High emotional intelligence could help you navigate the social complexities of the workplace. It could help you lead and motivate others, excel in your career. I mean, in fact, when it comes to like gauging important job candidates, many companies are now rating emotional intelligence as important as technical ability. And some people have even started employing EQ testing before hiring to make sure that somebody's going to be a good fit, not only in their job that they're specifically doing, but also just socially and emotionally in the workplace. It helps your physical health because if you're unable to manage your emotions, then you're probably not managing your stress either, which can lead to health problems. Uncontrolled stress can raise blood pressure. It can suppress the immune system, increase risk of heart attack, speeds up the aging process. So if you learn how to manage stress, honestly, that's the first step to really improving emotional intelligence in my mind. Your mental health, uncontrolled emotion and stress can also impact your mental health, leading to anxiety, depression. If you're unable to like understand, get comfortable with, or manage your emotions, you can also struggle to form a strong relationship with people, and you might feel lonely, isolated, and it can lead to so many other mental health problems. Another couple of things that emotional intelligence affects is your relationships. If you understand your emotions and how to control them, you're going to be better in understanding how others are feeling, and you can communicate more effectively. Your social intelligence, that's another big one. Just being in tune with your emotions serves a social purpose as well. I mean, connecting you to other people and to the world around you. Social intelligence can enable you to like recognize a friend from a foe, or when you get that gut feeling that there's something dangerous in wherever you are, that gut feeling where you're just something's off here. That's a form of social intelligence. And at the end of the day, the higher your EQ, the better your relationships are going to be, and probably honestly the happier you're going to be. Just because if you can control your own emotions and not let them control you and just learn how to use them to your advantage, then you'll get further in any setting, whether it's a workplace, school, whatever, fill in the blank, but you'll just be inherently happier as well. So, let's talk about different skills that you can work on to really increase your EQ, because like I said, I think it's vastly important to have a good EQ. And I want to go back to those 4 attributes that I talked about just a bit ago and talk about how you can get better at those things. So let's talk about self-management again. In order for you to engage your EQ, you got to be able to use your emotions to make constructive decisions about your behavior. When you become overly stressed, you can lose control of your emotions and the ability to act thoughtfully and appropriately. I mean, think about a time when stress was overwhelming, when stress had overwhelmed you. Was it easy to think clearly or make a rational decision? My best guess is it wasn't. It was probably pretty hard. When you become overly stressed, your ability to both think clearly and accurately assess your emotions, both your own and other people's, it becomes compromised. I mean, they're important pieces of information that essentially tell you about yourself and about others, but in the face of stress and anxiety that takes us out of our comfort zone, we can become overwhelmed and lose control of ourselves. But with the ability to manage stress and stay emotionally present, I mean, you can learn to receive upsetting news without letting it override your thoughts and your self control. You'll be able to make choices that allow you to control those impulsive feelings and behaviors and manage your emotions in healthy ways, take initiative, follow through on commitments, and adapt to changing circumstances, which is huge in any setting, whether it's just your everyday life or whether you're in a job. The second one is self awareness. So, managing stress is the first step to building emotional intelligence, but the science of attachment indicates that your current emotional experience is often likely a reflection of your early life experiences. So, your ability to manage core feelings like anger, sadness, fear, joy oftentimes depends on the quality and the consistency of your emotional experiences early in your life. Like if your primary caretaker as an infant understood and valued your emotions, it's more likely your emotions have become valuable assets in adult life. But if your emotional experiences as an infant were confusing, threatening, painful, it's likely that you've tried to distance yourself from your emotions. And I mean, this is statistically speaking with studies and all that stuff. Obviously, this doesn't put everybody into that one box. But being able to connect to your emotions, having a moment to moment connection with your changing emotional experience is honestly the key to understanding how emotion influences your thoughts and influences your actions. Do you experience feelings that flow, encountering one emotion after another as your experiences change from moment to moment around the day? Are your emotions accompanied by physical sensations like, when you have anxiety, do you feel it in your stomach, in your throat? Does your chest get tight? Do you experience individual feelings and emotions such as like anger, sadness, fear, joy, each of which is can be evident in like subtle facial expressions. Can you experience intense feelings that are strong enough to capture both your attention and other people's attention? Do you pay attention to your emotions? Do they factor into your decision making? If any of those experiences are unfamiliar, you may have turned down or turned off your emotions. And in order to build a healthy EQ and become emotionally healthy, you've got to really reconnect to your core emotions, accept them, and be comfortable with them. I mean, this takes practice, but you can achieve it through practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of purposefully focusing your attention on the present moment. Most religions in they include some type of prayer or meditation technique. Mindfulness has roots in Buddhism, but it helps you shift your preoccupation with your thought toward an appreciation of the moment. Your physical and emotional sensations, and it brings a larger perspective on life. I tend to use just a 10-minute visualization every morning where I just sit down with myself for 10 minutes and just be in the moment, take a couple minutes to just relax. And then I visualize things like where I want to be in 10 years, where I want to be in 5 years, where I want to be in 30 years. And that might not be, exactly being in the moment, but I take the first 5 minutes to just relax my body, be comfortable where I am. And then I do that visualization. And honestly, that can help in so many ways. It calms you down a little bit, connects you just with yourself. And I think it's pretty valuable to take time to really just take a breather, whether it's excuse me, whether it's, 10 minutes a day of just quiet peacefulness where you just don't think about anything and you're just sitting there, or whether it's meditation, visualization, whatever it is. I think it's very valuable. So let's talk about social awareness. Social awareness enables you to recognize and interpret mainly the nonverbal cues of others, um, that they're consistently using to communicate with you. These cues let you know how others are really feeling, how their emotional state is changing from moment to moment, and what's truly important to them. Somebody, maybe your significant other, says that nothing's wrong, but you can tell in their face that something's wrong. Well, that's a cue that you should probably pick up. And when groups of people send out similar nonverbal cues, you're able to read and understand the power dynamics and the shared emotional experiences of a group. So in short, you're empathetic and you're socially comfortable. To build social awareness, you really need to recognize the importance of mindfulness, just being in the moment. You can't pick up on subtle nonverbal cues when you're in your own head, when you're thinking about other things, when you're zoning out, when you're on your phone. Social awareness really requires presence in the moment. While many of us pride ourselves on the ability to multitask, usually that means that you will miss the subtle emotional shifts taking place in other people that really help you fully understand them. I mean, you're actually more likely to further your social goals by setting other thoughts aside and focusing on the interaction itself while you're involved in it. Following the flow of another person's emotional responses is a give and take process that requires you to also pay attention to the changes in your own emotional experience as well. Paying attention to others shouldn't diminish your own self-awareness. I mean, by investing time and effort into really paying attention to others, you'll actually probably gain insight into your own emotional state as well, and as well as your values, your beliefs. For example, if you feel uncomfortable hearing people express certain views or certain things, then you'll have learned something important about yourself, that you don't agree with whatever it is that person's saying. And then the last one is relationship management. Working well with others is a process that honestly begins with emotional awareness and your ability to recognize and understand what other people are experiencing. I mean, once emotional awareness is in play, you can effectively develop additional social and emotional skills that will make your relationships more effective, more fruitful, and more fulfilling. You need to become aware of how effectively you use nonverbal cues in communication as well. I mean, it's important to avoid sending nonverbal messages to others about what you think or feel. The muscles in your face, especially around your eyes, nose, mouth, forehead, they help you wordlessly convey your own emotions as well as read other people's emotional intent. And the emotional part of your brain is always on. I mean, even if you ignore its messages, others won't, because they can see it. And recognizing the nonverbal messages that you send to others can also play a huge part in improving your relationship. Humor is big. Humor, laughter are natural antidotes to stress. They lessen just the burden of life, and they help you keep things in perspective. Laughter brings your nervous system into balance. It reduces stress, calms you down, and it sharpens your mind, and honestly can make you more empathetic. Another thing is learn how to see conflict as an opportunity to grow closer to others rather than getting away. Conflict and disagreement are inevitable in any human relationship. Two people cannot possibly have the exact same needs, the exact same opinions and expectations at all times, but that doesn't need to be a bad thing. I mean, resolving conflict in a healthy, constructive way can strengthen trust between people. When conflict isn't perceived as threatening or punishing, it can foster a freedom, creativity, and safety in a relationship. So, just to summarize what we talked about, I want to talk about those four attributes again, and just in healthiness what they look like. So self-management is you're able to control your impulsive feelings and your behaviors, manage your emotions in a healthy way, take initiative, follow through on commitments, and adapt to changing circumstances. Self-awareness is you recognize your own emotions, how they affect your thoughts and behavior, you know your strengths and weaknesses, and you have a sense of self-confidence. Social awareness, you have empathy, you can understand the emotions, the needs, and concerns of other people, pick up on emotional cues, feel comfortable socially, and recognize power dynamics in a group or an organization. And then relationship management, you know how to develop and maintain good relationships, communicate clearly, inspire and influence others, work well on a team, and manage conflict. Look, guys, this is something that honestly I've had to work on a lot in my life. I was always one of those people, and honestly still in today to an extent, that views emotions and showing emotion as a form of weakness. And that's not healthy for me. That's not healthy for anybody. So really just working on your emotional intelligence and learning how to not shy away from your emotions, but harness them and use them to make better connections with people, and just not only feel better as a person, as yourself, and just be more content with yourself in the ability to control your emotions. But if you can't control your own emotions, how are you supposed to pick up on others? How are you supposed to work well with others? Emotional intelligence is so key to really any circumstance where you're going to be around other people, whether it's school, whether it's work, whether it's you name it, being on a team, a sports team, whatever it is. It's one of the most overlooked things, I think, in business, in life. Most people haven't really put a focus on really harnessing their emotions. And it's something that I continue to strive to get better at. And to be honest, I'm not doing an amazing job. And part of the reason why I wanted to record this episode was so that I could dive more in depth into it and learn different ways to really get a grip on my emotions. My emotions tend to just go to the back burner and get ignored. And that's not healthy for any individual. You have to learn how to express them in healthy ways, when to express them. And that's something that I think everybody should try and work on every day, because you'll be happier because of it. I know since I started working on this and going through this journey of trying to really get a grip and be able to control and harness my emotional state, I've become happier. The stress part of life, I've gotten really good at just managing stress. I still, struggle in some other areas of EQ, but the stress component of it, I've learned to manage really, really well. And it's honestly made me inherently happier as a person. So I would challenge you guys to just take inventory of your emotional intelligence and see what areas that you need to work on. Be honest with yourself. And, this stuff takes practice. It's being vulnerable with yourself and really looking at where you need work personally, and then going out and doing it. Try and next time you're with a group of people, just be present in the moment. Try and really focus on their nonverbal cues, what emotional signals they're sending, what emotional signals you're sending, just be cognitive of that in group settings, and really be able to pick up and build off of and be empathetic with other people based on not only the things they're saying physically or verbally, but the nonverbal cues that they're putting down. Hope you guys enjoyed the show and hope you got something beneficial out of it. I will talk to you next week.